Every morning, before the sun touched the white gates of the Harrington house, Amina Okoye was already awake. She rose at 4:30 a.m. in her small rented room on the far edge of the city, where the walls were thin and the nights were loud. Her hands moved quietly as she folded her worn uniform, careful not to wake the neighbor's baby crying behind the wall. She washed her face with cold water, whispered a prayer in her mother tongue, and tied her scarf neatly. Amina was 42 years old. Her back hurt every morning, but she never complained, because complaining never fed her children. She had crossed an ocean years ago from a small village in West Africa, where the soil was red and the air smelled of rains, to a country where houses were large, streets were clean, and kindness was not always guaranteed. At exactly 6:15 a.m., she stood at the Harringtons' gate, waiting. Always waiting. The Harrington house was beautiful. White walls, marble floors, tall windows that let the sun flood in like it belonged there. But Amina never felt welcome inside it. She cleaned it. She polished it. She cared for it like it was alive. Yet she remained invisible. Mrs. Eleanor Harrington rarely looked at her. She spoke about Amina more than she spoke to her. Amina, the kitchen needs extra attention today. Amina, don't forget the guest bathroom. Amina, you people are so hardworking. You people. Amina smiled every time. Not because it didn't hurt, but because rent was due. There were 2 children in the Harrington family. Lucas, 10 years old, curious, kind, always asking questions. Emily, 7 years old, soft-spoken, observant, with eyes that noticed sadness. Unlike their parents, the children saw Amina. "Good morning, Miss Amina," Emily said every day. Lucas once asked, "Why do you always come so early?" Amina smiled and replied, "Because work comes before comfort." They didn't know she had children too. Or maybe they did, but the adults never asked. One afternoon, while scrubbing the floor, Amina's phone vibrated. She froze. Only one person called at that hour. Her sister. Amina, her voice cracked through the speaker. "Mama is sick. Very sick." The world tilted. Her mother, the woman who raised 5 children with nothing but love and stubborn strength, was lying weak in a village clinic with no proper medicine. "How much?" Amina asked softly. There was a long pause. "More than we have." Amina looked around the shining living room, the expensive couch, the paintings, the crystal lamp. Her hands shook. She had gleaned wealth for years, but never touched it. That evening, Amina gathered courage like broken glass in her chest. She approached Mrs. Harrington carefully. "Madam," she said softly, eyes lowered, "I wanted to ask if I could have an advance on my salary." Mrs. Harrington frowned. "An advance? Why?" "My mother is ill." Silence. Then a sigh. "Amina, we can't make a habit of this. Everyone has problems. Everyone." Amina nodded quickly. "Yes, madam. I understand." She went back to the kitchen and cried silently over the sink. That night, Amina sat on her bed, staring at the wall. Her children, Kofi 16 and Zara 12, were asleep beside her. She thought of her mother. She thought of the years she missed: birthdays, funerals, weddings. She whispered, "God, I am tired." For the first time, she considered quitting. For the first time, she wondered if surviving was worth this much pain. The next morning, Emily found Amina in the kitchen, eyes red. "Miss Amina," she asked gently, "are you sad?" Amina hesitated. "Yes," she admitted. Emily disappeared on came back, holding her piggy bank. "You can have this," she said. "My mommy says money fixes things." Amina's heart shattered. She knelt and hugged Emily tightly, tears soaking the child's hair. "No, my dear," she whispered, "but thank you for seeing me." Mrs. Harrington watched from the hallway. For the first time, she really looked at Amina. Later that day, Mrs. Harrington accidentally found a folded paper in the laundry room. It was a letter, written in shaky handwriting. Amina had been practicing English. It read, "I clean houses so my children can study. I miss my mother every day. I am not lazy. I am not invisible. I am just tired." Mrs. Harrington sat down and cried. That evening, Mrs. Harrington called Amina to the living room. Amina stood nervously. "I owe you an apology," Mrs. Harrington said quietly. Amina looked up, shocked. "I never asked about your life," she continued. "I only saw your work." She handed Amina an envelope. Inside was money more than the advance. "And from now on," she added, "you are family here." Amina's knees buckled. She wept openly. The money saved Amina's mother. She recovered. Amina called home every night, smiling again. The Harringtons changed too. They greeted her by name. They invited her to sit at the table. They listened. Not out of charity, but respect. Years later, Amina no longer worked as a maid. She opened a small cleaning business. Her son went to university. Her daughter wanted to become a nurse. And every time Amina passed a large white house, she remembered, she was never weak. She was strong enough to survive silence.